Why did James Robinson like this driver so much? Because it certainly isn't new. Came out in 2007. I think we'd all like to agree technology has come on since then. And whilst watching James's video out in America, he found in a local store an R7 Super Quad TP second hand, and not only that, hit it well and kept finding fairways with it. But before I tell you what I think about it, let's hear from the main man himself.
Hi Simon mate, hope you're well, love the channel and I can't wait to get down there and check out your new studio. It looks amazing. Yeah, the R7 Super Quad for me, it was a driver which I used when I was younger. Really enjoyed it, and the TP version was especially good as well. I think the shaft was well ahead of its time, the React shaft. You can sort of see the graphite weave in it. I think shafts have come on a little bit, haven't they, in the last 15-20 years. The club head, it just fills me with confidence because I used to play well with it personally. I hit a lot of fairways. I'll send you a video of one of the shots that I hit out in America with it. I hit loads of fairways, and I'm not sure if that's maybe down to shaft length, just I felt more comfortable with it. You definitely would lose a bit of ball speed, I think, from the toe and the heel. I think the spin rates would kick up or dip out the head depending where you hit it. It's not quite as consistent, but out the middle I think it's going to be as good as anything, and for the price that I paid for it, just really enjoyed it as a drive. If you're going to go and get fitted for something a little bit newer, that might help, but if you're not in the market to get fitted, if you're not with the budget to get fitted, the R7 Super Quad is a fantastic driver.
So big thank you to James for obviously taking the time out to film his thoughts on the R7 Super Quad. Now sadly, unlike James, I haven't got the TP version, but thank you to the boys at Replay Golf for supplying this 8.5 degree R7 Super Quad, stiff flex shaft, and considering the numbers that I just hit there, you wouldn't necessarily imagine this to be almost 15 years old. So let's talk about the improvements. Let's talk about the downsides of this driver, but then also why some of you guys potentially are going to get on better with older drivers than newer ones. And I openly admit drivers have improved over the last 15 years. Forgiveness, sound, feel, shaft options, interchangeable heads, head type, all those kind of bits. However, there's one bit that definitely hasn't changed drastically, and that's the amount of speed you're going to get off the club face, i.e. we're never going to see 1.6. And drastically is the important word there, because I'm not saying that the ball potentially might come off faster this face than this one. But when we look at our overall golf swings and the inconsistencies we have it, path, face, angular, attack, on the golf course, 18 holes, are you ever going to really notice that extra 1 mile an hour, 1.5 mile an hour extra ball speed when it's heading into the trees? Because James made a very good point in his video that length of shaft seems shorter, and if I put it up to the Stealth here, put them side by side, you can see there's 3/4 of an inch, maybe an inch longer on the shaft. And that's no secret. All clubs, from irons to drivers, have all increased in length of shaft, because the longer the shaft, the more clubhead speed you're actually going to be able to produce. The issue with a slightly longer shaft is the ability to find the middle of the club face. And it's the same reason why a lot of you guys opt to hit your 5-wood or 3-wood off the tee than your driver. The driver, 1 out of 10, might go an extra 15-20 yards further. But on average, 10 shots in a row with both clubs, you'll probably find more fairways and go further on average with the shorter length, more lofted club than you would with the big stick. Now I know what you'd be saying, Simon, my newer driver goes 15, 20, 30 yards further than my old driver, and if the ball speed hasn't changed off the face, what has? Tell you what, I've hit that high toe, so that's actually going to go a decent distance. Go on, get up there. 300 yards with the 2007 driver. This bad boy right here, our understanding of launch and spin makes a massive difference to our overall distance. However, you teeter on the edge of that being too low potentially means the bad shots are going to be even worse. And that's why fittings can be so important. Having the right launch and spin is all the difference for distance. Too little spin, you're going to get punished on the bad shots, and the balls are going to nosedive out of the air. Too much spin, the ball's just going to climb and keep climbing and come down like a lead balloon. The big difference I've seen is our understanding, and especially the manufacturer's understanding when it comes to driver head types and how to create less spin, more high launch. 13.7 degrees launch, 1500 backspin, 330 yards. Similar efficiency, i.e. no more ball speed. The club head speed we've got, yeah, it's almost gone 30 yards further than what I can produce with the R7. Right, he's talked a good game, but now he's got to produce the same swing at 114 miles an hour, but with the R7 driver. Oh, a slingy one. 112, not quite as fast. Not quite as fast, but still very much hooky and left. The important thing, similar launch, similar angle attack, arguably more ball speed for the club head speed ratio, but you can see how much higher that spin is. Obviously, I'm not a robot and they wouldn't have been hit exactly the same, but on average, that's definitely going to go much further. So Simon, you proved it. Newer drivers go further than older drivers as able to keep the same launch and drop that spin, and you are correct. But will that mean better scores? Now, this is not an exact test because it's not the same shaft. This is 8.5, that's 9 degree, and let's be honest, I'm not a robot, so anything could happen. However, let's hit 5 shots with each. Let's see the dispersion, let's get my thoughts on them, and let's see which one I'd prefer to take out on the golf course. To be perfectly honest, I'm not really biased either way. Well, she went forward. 111 to start off with. Let's keep it around 110 for the rest of them. Okay, apart from one snap hook with the R7, not too bad. Let's see what the results are with the Stealth. Instantly that spin, oh, I've just swung that 117. That doesn't necessarily help, does it? Numbers, 109, we balance it out a bit, good. Now, obviously the Stealth's gone further, and I'll explain why. But these ones here are relatively interesting. Let me explain. And the results is exactly what I expected them to be. Ball speed slightly increased with the Stealth, but it's not from what you think. I'll show you in a minute. The numbers tell all, and there's still an argument why I'd put the R7 in the bag opposed to the Stealth. Ball speed up with the Stealth, but that will be apparent in a minute. Spin rate on average a lot lower than the R7, hence why we're not getting anywhere near as much distance than the Stealth compared to the R7, considering launch and everything else is relatively similar. As you can see, when it comes to efficiency, both of them were exactly the same on average. However, I would say I hit the R7 out the middle a bit more, maybe because of the shorter length of shaft. No wonder the ball speed was up, because the average club head speed with the Stealth was up, and potentially that is the length of shaft helping it. Again, hitting up on it, and again, into out. On average, very similar. So for someone that doesn't hit it that straight, that's as good as the numbers as I can get. If you have a driver that spins more, so I'm talking 3,000, but let's say not in the low 2,000s or under 2,000, it means when you hit a shot like this, out to the right-hand side, maybe slightly out the heel, you're somewhat still going to be on the planet. Meaning if I hit the same shot with the Stealth out the hill, over the top, club face a tiny bit open, you're potentially going to see that ball go even further to the right-hand side because the backspin is just that much less. Same amount of side spin, less backspin, more out to the right hand side. And for all those reasons, I'm not surprised James got on so well with that R7 TP out in America, slightly shorter in shaft. He had the confidence level as he knew that he got on with that driver back in the day. Potentially the added backspin from the older heads helped with the slight bad shots, which would potentially leak a bit more out to the right or left. And therefore, for some of you guys that don't necessarily swing the club that fast, there's a reason why you can't seem to get the newer driver heads up in the air and keep them up there. But this game isn't all about raw distance, it's about average distance and also finding more fairways. There's a reason why the pros back in the day had to loft down their drivers to 5-6 degrees to get the same effect of what the new drivers do now. If you like this video, you might like my top 5 big brand drivers up here on the right hand side. Catch you guys later.